Open hosted by the Westwood Country Club. At the receiving end from the Leamington Tennis Court Club, Lewis Williams. At the serving end from the Racket Club of Chicago, Steve Virgona. This is best of 5, 6-game sets. Steve to serve, love or play. Have a good game, gents. Vote. So, 15, love.
All good? Yeah.
15 all.
All right, after a little false start from Eric, we'll try again. Welcome, everybody. It's the second quarterfinal. No.
Round of 16.
Round of 16. Still playing the round of 16. Second match of the day, anyway.
30-15.
First match was between Rob Shankman and Nino Marola. That was relatively comprehensive. Rob put on a masterclass. We have Steve Virgona and Lewis Williams here. This match, I've never had the pleasure of playing, or displeasure of playing either of these two players, but perhaps you have, John.
30 all.
I've not played Steve, not in singles at least. Played Lewis a number of times. It's always a tough game.
40-30.
Lewis is a very good competitor. He's well known for his target hitting. But one imagines that might be slightly tricky here today. This court, relatively new. Very quick, good for aggressive play.
Juice.
But the targets are, the openings are very small.
This is
the
true.
ledges are quite high, and the dead-on is not as wide as many courts. So it's not the easiest place to hit a lot of winners, but
there's a target.
Lewis
Advantage
is
to the
proving
receiver.
otherwise.
Yeah.
I imagine we'll see quite a lot of that from him today. He'll do his best, despite the small targets, to keep the points ticking over.
Game to receiver, his first game, 1 game to love.
Using the winning openings.
Yeah.
And we'll see how much Steve can restrict that.
Nice lengthy point here. See what Steve does with this.
No.
And
15
that
love.
was hitting
Not
the
a-
ground. Yeah, we saw Lewis win the first game though. With he did see a target, but you also saw a lot of finesse, which you will see from Lewis. He holds the ball very well.
15
Looks
all.
kind of squashy in that sense with his strokes. You know, he's got power, but he doesn't use it that much, I think is a pretty accurate way to describe his game.
Thank you. Hazard better than 2 yards.
First chase of the game.
Score is 15 all, 1 chase.
I think what you noticed there,
30,
a
15.
little bit of an unforced error, but Lewis did not hit that return particularly hard, and Steve still had to lunge at the end to get that ball. The court is playing incredibly fast since the start of the tournament.
Chase, nearly a yard worse than the last gallery. 2 chases. 30-15.
So in contrast, Lewis, as we mentioned, will probably try and find a lot of targets. Steve, also well known for hitting lots of winners. I imagine we'll see a bit more of a focus on trying to hit nicks and hit drives as opposed to forces. Force generally being a ball that's hit towards a winning opening, a drive being a more general term for a ball that's just hit hard in the direction of a wall. So I imagine we'll see quite a bit of that from Steve. Particularly from the service
30-15 to the receiver.
As
We've
you
got a
mentioned, the
hazard
court's playing
better
very,
than
very
2
fast. So anything that
yards.
misses the
Hazard.
grill in particular is likely to go out for a hazard very easily.
And you'll notice off of the return as well. That's a great shot from Lewis.
30-0 chase
But off of
nearly
that
a
hazard
yard
chase,
worse than the
Lewis
last
did hit a
gathering.
good railroad there, so Steve was forced to boast it. But normally, I think if you see hazards throughout the remainder of this match, Steve will just try to hit that drive John was
Won the
talking about,
chase.
because it is very
40-30.
difficult, especially from you're playing some of the harder hitters like a Noah Moats or a Lewis Gordon or a Steve to track that ball down. Near impossible, again, since the start of the tournament.
Juice.
Ooh.
Advantage to the receiver.
The court has been a topic of discussion since the beginning of the tournament. I think a lot of the professionals are having difficulty adjusting to the court.
Worse than 6 yards.
I can say is
Advantage.
This is my home court. I totally get where they're coming from because I just came from a tournament in Tuxedo where the court plays pretty fast, and came here and it felt 10 times faster and even faster than the last time I played on it, just 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's playing. I think it's the fastest court maybe in the world right now.
I haven't played them all, so I can't necessarily contribute to that, but I wouldn't necessarily disagree. It's pretty quick at the moment.
Advantage to the server. Chase is worse than
Just
6
adds
yards.
to the pressure of serving well. And it's already a very difficult serving court. But if you don't get that serve right, the receiver just has so many options. And that should work.
Game to server. It's 1 game all.
That's probably a good example. Steve uses the main wall timber to
Chase better
win
than
that
the
first,
door.
second game, sorry. Got 1 game all. Probably a good example of one of the strategies that Steve will try and employ in this match. They'll both try and employ, but... Oh, there it is again. Imagine
15
particularly
up.
Steve. Like we mentioned, he likes to drive the ball quite a bit. The grill's quite small. But
Fault.
that timbre is very, very fast.
Yeah.
And it's also quite steep in angle, so it goes quite a long way behind the player at the receiver's end.
Mm-hmm.
So if he can hit the ball firm and quick into the timbre, like we saw
15
just
all.
then, it's very, very difficult to read.
Yeah. You get the ball off of the low mid
Chase
sidewall
worse than the last Gary.
area
2
into the
chases,
timbre.
15 all.
That shot is just going to be incredibly difficult to get back. Whereas on different courts, if you hit high timbre, sometimes that will hug the back wall. That will not be the case here. It wraps around. That's a very easy shot here. So, yes, this court rewards a punishing, hard, low side.
Score is 15 all. First chase is better than the door. Fault. Thank you.
chase
Chase.
off, maybe?
Yeah.
Won
30-15 to the
according
E.
to Mr. Carey.
Receiver.
Thank you.
Chase is worse than the last gallery.
Looked like better than the door, but we'll have to check the replay
Fault.
later. It's very tough space from
40-15.
Steve, yeah. The forehand corner on the service side is incredibly difficult here, and almost seems to have become even more difficult over time as the court has worn in. I mean, you get that cut volley back there. It's brutal. It's incredibly difficult to get back.
Game.
Relatively long rally there.
Game to receiver has 2 games to 1.
Noticing that in the long rallies tends to be Lewis doing most of the running around. Steve seems to be doing a pretty good job of
Fault.
controlling the ball, controlling the rally,
Time, thank you.
holding his position in the middle of the court, and forcing Lewis to hit it back to him, where Lewis is doing a bit more of the scrambling. That may come back to help Steve later in the match. See if it continues.
That's good.
Chase worse than 2 yards. Got no strokes, 1 chase.
See if I got that one right. I did. Nice.
Good call.
Lewis going back to the railroad here, which...
Great
oh.
serve.
Oh,
15 love.
Nice.
Time.
The bando on this court very much deadens the ball. Steve was not anticipating that, nor was I. I would have done the same thing. It is
15
interesting
love,
Lewis is
serve,
going
and we
to
got 1
railroad as much
chase.
as he is early on. His is maybe cutting back slightly, but generally the ball off the railroad has not really been cutting back at all.
And chase 1 and 2. 2 chases, gents. 15 love.
I just wanted to call that chase. Oh, that was totally worse than 1.
that was last match.
Yeah. How's Stevie? How's the club? How's the club?
You're coming out. You and Cam are coming out soon in March.
So do you think, Eric, the
15 love to the receiver.
It's a great
The
graphic
first
there, by the
chase is
way.
worse
that is a
than
great
2
graphic.
yards.
Ryan does a fantastic job here. Ryan
Yeah.
does a fantastic job. Keeping things interesting.
But back to your
Lost the
question.
chase.
You still remember it?
Score is
Do you
15
think that,
all. Chase is 1 and 2.
Lewis's choice of serve might be influenced by the player that he's playing?
Yes. Yes, I do. That is a good point. If you can get that railroad back, I mean, you've already seen 2 or... Wow.
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 I gather that Steve was not
30,
expecting
15.
that to come down the middle.
As one of our great friends at Prince's Court would say, down the middle solves the riddle. Temple Grassy. Interesting that Steve chose to take that ball off of the
30.
floor and not volley it out of the air. It's kind of his bread and butter, that shot. Off that part of the penthouse. He'll just rip it down at the timbre or drive it underneath the grill. But as you
40,
mentioned
30.
earlier, a lot of those underneath the grill shots are going out to be hazard chases. So there perhaps is less incentive to go for that shot.
Yeah, a little bit, and I suspect also that Steve only arrived here
Game
maybe
to the server.
2 days ago.
Leads by
So
3
he's
games to
probably
1.
not had a
First
huge
set,
amount of practice on the court.
3-1.
I think he'll be expecting to win this relatively comfortably in his own mind. So I imagine he's planning on
Thank you.
using it
Out
a
of
bit
court.
as
Thanks,
bit
guys.
as an
15 love.
extended practice. leading into the quarters and semi-finals. He'll be planning on playing at least in a semi-final, if not a final here. This will always be his goal. So I suspect it might that might be something that he moves to doing later on in the tournament. In this early stage, you might see him be a little more circumspect.
Worse than 4 yards. 15 love, serve leads, one
feel
chase.
out the court a bit more, particularly in this very first set.
Oh!
It's true. The volley off of that part of the penthouse, he obviously utilizes a lot, but he uses it even more in doubles to just drill it at the guy near the timbre.
Chase worse than the door, 2 chases.
You see that shot from Lewis as a drive.
15 love.
It's effective. I mean, it's not going to be the best chase in the world, but no one's getting that on this court right now. Not Cam. No one.
I don't know. I can't believe I missed him.
So for some of our newer viewers,
15 love to the
might have
receiver.
spotted that
The first chase is
Steve's
worse
handicap
than 4
listed
yards.
there is 6.6, and Lewis's handicap
False.
listed at -6 or thereabouts. Most of the players in the world of real tennis are technically on the minus side of the handicap scale. It's only the very elite players who are on the plus side of the scale, on the
30
other side of
love,
0.
receiver leads. Chase is worse than the door.
We're starting to see Steve exert his will in this set. 3-1, 30 love, worse than the door. Probably pretty happy with that chase. See what he does with it.
Oh, wow.
He gets punished for
15,
kind
30.
of just hitting a backhand down the middle right to Lewis's forehand, which was a solid serve. But that is the disadvantage of being a lefty on the return, is returning off that backhand. It's a good dig there.
Chase better than 6 yards.
Top bounce.
30, 15 to the
Better than
receiver,
6.
1 chase.
But there we see a little bit of that, not full pace, but a little bit of that drive that we were talking about from Steve. Not necessarily trying to cut the ball or spin it into the corner
40,
too much.
15, 1 chase.
More just trying to punch it through the court and use the awkward angles around the corner.
Lewis went for kind of the half volley swing off of the Virgona, missed dead in return there. It's pretty ambitious. It depends how much, I suppose, you
40,
want the service
15
side.
to the
I think
server.
it's always super tempting to
Chase
hit
is
that ball
better
going
than
by,
6 yards.
but you tend to miss it more than you make it.
Game to server. It's 4 games to 1.
Right there's probably where the pressure of playing somebody like Steve Virgona, who is
15 love.
obviously was for a long time the second best player in the world, challenged for the World Championship a number of times, one of the best doubles players ever. You know, his resume in
Thank you,
court
Hazard,
tennis,
better
real
than 1
tennis
yard.
is pretty strong.
15 love, server leads, 1
So
chase.
for Lewis, it can be intimidating, and that last point of the last game there is probably an example where Steve's serve wasn't the best, but the pressure of having that player at the other end
30 love.
forces the error.
Yeah.
Lewis drags the return in the net, and Steve takes a 4-1 lead.
And you've watched Lewis hit
Whoop. There's the drive you were
40 love,
talking
one
about.
chase.
Yes.
Not sure that quite came out of the middle. But
You watch Lewis there hit 2 main walls onto the penthouse and 1 straight onto the penthouse. I think it speaks to the pressure that John was talking about in trying to force winners, force errors from Steve. Lewis is probably not in
There it
his
is.
comfort zone right now.
I don't know. I might be doing him a disservice. That might be exactly how he intended to hit that ball. But
Did feel a little bit like it was a little
Forty
frame, a little
not
love
convinced.
to the receiver.
but
We've got a
tactically
hazard
smart
better than
if
1
intentional.
yard. Hazard.
If he had hit that at Mach 10, that's a hazard. It's definitely a hazard. Yeah, I
Game
thought
to
Steve was going to go
receiver,
for the gallery
5
there, but
games
he
to
doesn't
1.
need to on this court. He can just hit it decently hard and away from his opponent, and ball will just jump away. It's 5-1. I think I would have called that a
15
fault.
love.
Sorry, John.
then it's probably fortunate that John Lumley's marking and not us from the commentary booth.
It's
For those
true.
who haven't been here to Westwood, we can't actually see the court from where we're sitting. We just have I'm getting rather angry gesticulations from Ryan. Sorry. What I meant was we can't physically see the court ourselves. What we can see is the live feed of Ryan's amazing stream
This is true.
30 love.
and the inside of the room next to the court. So we viewers, we see exactly what you see.
I like that serve from Lewis. Oh.
Chase better in the
Steve's
second
chase.
gallery.
That entire point was changed by the fact
30
that
love, 1
Lewis
chase.
hit a good serve. Steve hit all right return, but because of just how active the court right now is, the ball just kind of jumped right into Lewis. And he was
Folks.
not expecting that, so he had to kind of hit it from right inside his body, and that changed the entire outcome of the rally. Whereas if he had been a
Chase
foot to the
worse than
left,
2
he would have
yards,
had
2
an easy
chases,
look
30
at the
love.
grill or main wall timber. So these are just small elements of the game you have to focus on, especially with some of the better cut volleyers, such as Freddie Bristow, who you got to play the other day. He definitely hit a couple balls with a little more curl and jump than, and maybe in Melbourne, your home court, it wouldn't have jumped as much into your body, but certainly did here. And, it changes the game. That's what
30
makes it
love
so
to the
unique,
server.
in part,
The first
is
chase is better than
the differences
second
between the
gallery.
nuances between every single court.
It's true. And that's something that you'll notice, well, you might not notice, but that's probably won't notice because it's part of the unseen skill of the very best players of this game, is they adapt
40
and get
love.
used to a new
Chase is
court that
worse than
might be
2
playing
yards.
differently to their home court, that might be playing differently to the last time they played at that court. But they adapt so quickly that they're able to
15,
make it
40.
look like they've been playing there for years. That's a very good shot from Lewis under pressure there. Set point down, chase worse than 2,
Yeah,
but
that's
never mind.
Game and
Steve
the
seals it
first set
quickly.
to the
Lewis,
server,
the
6 games to 1.
post out wide
Server
off of
leads
the
by 1
return
set
to
to love.
Steve's forehand is
Second set. Level.
probably not a winning formula today. Steve's forehand is, he probably still has, he might still have the best forehand in the game. Though Cam and Rob might have something to say about that.
Chase worse than 3 yards. No strokes, 1 chase.
I think there's a few players who'd take you on for that, but
Yeah.
there's no doubt that Steve's forehand is still and has been for a long time
15 love.
one of the most dangerous weapons in our sport. You'll notice that from the receiver's end when he's down there. He spends most of the time trying as hard as he can to play a forehand on every single return that he's able to.
Yes. And I don't mean to call out Steve here. He's obviously an unbelievable player, but you will probably notice that the difference between his... yeah, it's a great shot.
15,
That is a great shot. Can't cover that, especially that speed. But the difference between Steve's forehand and his backhand can be significant.
30. One chase.
But it's a
Lewis
tough
making
game.
the game pretty tough when he's hitting both corners of the dead on like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter which side it's on.
Oh, that's a good run.
Chase
Nice little
better than
1-2
2
chase.
yards.
I'm calling that perhaps too early. Oh, so close. So close. I thought so. Clearly, I'm just blind.
You've got our assistant marker here.
Love to see the
Unfortunately, the actual marker of the match can't hear his assistant. But
Let's see that one more time. Oh, I think that's 1 and 2.
Score is 30.
It's
First
that's
chase
so
is
close.
worse than 3 yards.
I think it's a good thing that Lummers is marking this match and not you.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great serve.
That was
40,
a very, very good serve.
Terrific
chase
serve.
better than 2 yards.
Now we get to that perfectly called better than 2 chase.
And that's beautiful.
Juice.
That's just something you don't expect as you don't expect that thing to come right at you. You're certainly anticipating main wall right there, but those lefties, Steve and Cam, are terrific.
Chase better than 1 yard.
That could have been better than half.
Score is Juice. 1 chase.
Yeah, okay.
Chase.
That
1 and
better
2,
than 1,
2
maybe?
chases. Juice.
This time, 1 and 2, okay. We're going to stop trying. I'm going to stop trying for at least a few
I'm
points.
going to take the "we" out of that sentence.
Yeah, yeah.
Lamas, I think you're spot on. If you watch this back, great job. You're doing an awesome job marking this match. Don't pay attention to the peanut gallery.
At the end of the day, those are great shots and great chases regardless, and will likely
Score is
have
Juice.
to be beaten
First chase is
by
better
forces.
than
So
1
the
yard.
strategy of returning these does not differ much.
Advantage to the
Although on this
server.
court, you could
Chases
plausibly
1 and
beat
2.
1 and 2 on the floor, given the severity of the cut in the corners.
Yeah, I found it really tricky.
Lost the chase for
That was
worse
close.
than 2.
That right
not
there, I
quite.
think, is a
Game
really
to
good
serve
example
at
of
first game, the second set, 1 game
how
to
this
love.
court is playing at the moment. Is that was a relatively well cut ball there by Lewis. He didn't hit it. It might have been a fraction over hit,
Yeah.
but not massively.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hit it too fast. But it springs off the back wall so fast that even though it's got cut and it's cutting down, it still comes out to sort of better than 2 to worse than 2. It's really, really difficult to
That's a good shot.
access
15 off.
that worse than a yard and back area of the court with cut here at the moment. You can really only do it by hitting perfect length.
15 all.
Yeah, I think it depends definitely, as you said, on the pace of the shot you're hitting. I think
Folks.
some guys, especially off the cut volley,
Time,
can
thank
really rip that cut volley in terms of, I don't know what the term would be, RPMs with spin. You're really getting that action on the ball. Where some hit, yes, a sharper cut volley return,
30,
maybe with a little more
15.
pace, and it comes out just a little bit more on this court, as you said, just
No
because
chases.
of how live the court is at the moment. Probably going to work. Yep.
40-15.
That's a tough shot on any court. Just kind of slow underneath the grill.
Votes.
Where you know it's just going to die. Whether that's 2 bounces before the back wall or nicks the back wall and just dies.
Seen the first game or two here, the second set, Steve's changed his service strategy. What do you think of the what do you think of new serve?
40.
I think, as you mentioned earlier in this broadcast, he's working on things. He's trying new things out. He, as you said, in his mind, he is trying to get better for the remainder of the tournament. We should put a lot of cut on this.
Chase,
Oh, it jumped up.
less than 3 yards.
Wow.
Can we get some balls, please?
That is
gents?
new.
Thank you.
I don't know if we can get a replay of that, Ryan, but
I'm out.
no,
That was...
unfortunate. You might. Apparently, my co-commentator didn't notice, but I think Lewis just took a little bit of the spin off that one. Didn't hit down on it quite so severely.
No, you're correct in that regard.
And so didn't bite off the back wall, where Steve might have been expecting exactly as you were, that
Thank you.
he'd hit it a bit more severely. Went across and played underneath the ball. Very effective there from Lewis. Got himself the chase.
Yeah.
Worse than 3 is not obviously better than a yard or worse than a yard, but still a very handy chase. Every chase creates different opportunities and challenges for both players.
Yeah.
So playing, especially at this level, playing worse than a yard or better than 2 chases is a very different prospect to playing worse than 3.
Yeah.
Better than 2, most of the time you're probably trying to beat by hitting dead on.
Mm-hmm.
Worse than 3, probably trying to beat on the floor
Lost the chase.
like Steve did then.
Juice.
But that gives Lewis the chance to get the ball back and not necessarily have to play an amazing shot, but just a good one. And there you see. It's drawn a slightly loose shot from Steve that couldn't quite rein in enough to get it back to worse than 3. We're back to Juice.
Worse than 3 can be, by these guys, can be beat 10 times in a row on the floor. That's a good finish from Lewis.
Advantage to the server.
I was surprised. You're absolutely correct. He didn't put that massive cut on that shot, but I still thought it would not bounce up that high. I figured it would have been more around 2 or worse than 2 than worse than 3. But it seems to be working out for him.
What a finish to the game.
Game
that
to
will work
serve
out.
as 1 game all.
That works on every court.
It's also just a very aesthetically pleasing shot to watch.
Didn't ring the gong, though, so it doesn't really count, does
No,
it?
no.
Have we got a gong counter for the week, Ryan? Counter. Oh, that's disappointing. No gong counter. We'll have to start one.
Strike. 15, love.
2 separate categories for gong versus gong winning gallery and non-gong winning gallery. Ooh, gong cam would be epic. There's no other way to describe that.
Chase better than the second gallery.
Seems
15 on 1
brave
chase.
to put a camera there.
This is so...
Oh,
Well, there's 2.
another one, but no gong
15
again.
No gong.
Disappointing. Disappointing, Lewis. Come on.
Yeah. 2 winning galleries in the last.
Gong camera
Three-
would have caught
3
that
points.
perfectly, though.
Votes.
This would probably be a boast, and I'm incorrect, of course.
Thank you. Better than 1. Thank you. That's 2 chases. Better than
That
1.
forehand corner is a very effective place to go on this court.
I think the challenge that my co-commentator is having in predicting what's coming next is just a good example of the challenge that Lewis is facing out there.
Yeah.
Any serve that he leaves just a little bit loose, or any ball that he leaves a little bit loose
First chase
on
is
Steve's
better
forehand.
than the second
As you
gallery.
mentioned before, Eric, that there's just so many options. That forehand is so dangerous.
Yeah.
He can hit it soft. He can hit it hard. He can hit targets. Oh, lost the
Lewis
chase.
is really
40-15
disappointed
serve
with
leads,
that.
chase better than 1 yard.
It's scary when your opponent has so many options.
And you'll see often in that situation, Lewis will kind of be stuck in the middle of the court, not really knowing
14-15. Ball up, Steve. Thank you.
where to go or what to do. And that's not a very nice situation to be in on a tennis court.
Yeah.
It's a tough one, but that's
Chase worse than
That's
4 yards.
wow. Nice little
40-15, 1 chase.
nick,
that's
roll.
the situation that you find yourself in when you play the top guys. When you're not quite at that level, when you're trying to make your way to that level, it's tough, and it's always good experience if challenging.
40-15 to the receiver. Chase is worse than 4 yards. Shot.
It's a good
30,
finish
40.
from Lewis there. You notice that he had to adjust his feet quickly to make that shot. It came closer to him than he anticipated, but well done.
Chase better than the last gallery. 2 chases,
Lewis is going to be
40-30.
disappointed with the outcome of that point.
Yes, 40-31
Had a
chase.
couple opportunities, perhaps at the grill, perhaps to just miss the timbre low on the floor, put that point away, and that did not end up occurring. And Steve's not going to let you get away with any mistakes.
40-30, the server leads. The chase is better than the last gallery.
As we've discussed, the margins just become so much smaller at this level.
Game to servers, 2 games.
I found that
to 1.
recently playing Noah Moats at this, at this court. He's one of my best buddies in the game. And he's had a
thank you.
terrific tournament so
15
far. He's
up.
dropped his handicap a couple points, and I think some of his opponents are noticing that if you give him a loose ball, the point just tends to be over. It's which comes back to that element of your opponent having so many options and it just being terrifying. That loose forehand.
He
Chase
comes up
better than 2
against
yards. 15 love server leads, 1 chase.
some chump from South Carolina.
Next. He's kind of a new player in the draw.
World champion
Thank
Camden
you.
Riviere.
30 love.
So we'll see how the world champion
30 love
deals
server,
with
1 chase.
the power that you mentioned before from Noah.
Yeah,
We'll see.
and they are.
See how Noah deals with players at that next level.
Fault. Just short.
Yeah, and they are good friends, so that'll be an interesting dynamic on court. Cam has been known to have some fun on court occasionally. Oh, it's a good little bobble
40 love,
there.
1 chase.
It is a good serve, but again, a good example.
Lewis planted his feet too early there. Yeah, that was
Maybe just a good example of where the very best probably wouldn't get caught by that, in the sense that they'd find a way to get it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
One way or another.
40.
I think Lewis
love, the
already had
receiver
a
leads.
shot planned in his head
Chase
off
is
of that
better
serve,
than 2
perhaps.
yards.
That would have integrated a little more power and planted his feet, and that hurt him.
Lost the chase, felt better than 3. 15, 40.
Good serve there. Won the point.
That's gonna work.
another one
That's
with
just a shot that
Game to receive
I
as
mean,
3 games to
maybe
1.
Lewis could have been a little lighter on his feet there, but
Close.
like you're just not expecting that from a lefty. You see Cam do it at least a few times every match, but more often than not, he's still gonna be going main wall. And against these top guys, that's a great shot.
15, love.
You have to play the percentages. If you're a 4 or 5 handicap, as Lewis is, and you're playing a +4 or +5 or someone better, you know,
Votes.
the +4, +5 guys have shots in their arsenal that are just
Thank you,
going to
Steve.
get you every match. But you have to play. You have to anticipate the shot that they're more likely to play. In the overall endeavor to get a few more games, a few more points. You know?
Yeah,
Oof.
15 all.
It's an ambitious boast.
Service.
That's a great serve.
30, 15.
Lewis has a little
No chase.
opportunity in this game, up 30-15. See what Steve does with this. Back into that forehand corner.
40, 15.
We hope people are tuning in from all over the world. Oh, here is.
I'm going to pass this question over to you, Eric. There's a question in the chat from Ross
Chase better than
Can.
the second gallery. 40,
What was the thinking
15.
of the light-coloured penthouse?
That's a good question, Ross. Thank you for commenting. I had nothing to do with the construction of this court.
I've just thrown you on the bus there.
No, we were just talking about Noah Moats. His dad, John, who has been integral in the development of this beautiful court and facility, certainly had a role in the
40,
construction.
15, the receiver leads.
I know
Chase
that.
is better than the second gallery.
Yeah, we'll get John into the booth here. There have been a couple players that have complained about the penthouse masking the ability to see the
30-40.
ball properly. Now, that hasn't been the case for me, and my eyesight is already diminishing. So, I think when you have a bright yellow ball,
Chase 2 yards.
I'm going to call that better than 2.
40-30.
Please, I hope I'm right about that. Oh, wow. I'm a terrible marker. Eyesight, yes, my eyesight, haven't gotten my eyes checked in 6 or 7 years at this point. You go off to college and you don't really
40-30 to the
get any
server.
medical treatment there.
Chase 2 yards.
So, doctor's office appointment is needed for me. I definitely don't have 20/20 vision at this point. That's a good ball. And you just saw from Lewis there,
2 games to 3. Time, thank you.
didn't hit a particularly aggressive shot, but it was a medium sidewall timbre shot with 40% pace, and that will get the job done on this court. And there's some variation from Lewis on the serve. Oh. Yeah,
Chase
Lewis is
worse
going to
than the
want that one
last
back.
gallery. There are no strokes, one chase.
He really did a good job mixing up the serve there and caught Steve on his back foot and just muscled that backhand over instead of punishing it.
Thank you. Better than 2 yards, 2 chases.
I'm not even going to try
Level.
with that chase. I was going to say 2 or better than 2. I wanted to say better than 2, actually would have been, but...
Oh,
Oh,
Robert Schenkman, welcome to the chat.
yeah. Awesome, Rob. Yeah, I mean, you must have just gotten out of the shower to prepare for your... I don't know when you're playing next, but Rob Schenkman, very diligent about his preparation, so... Yeah,
There
good
are
to
no
hear that
strokes.
you're already getting ready
First
for your
chase
next
is
match.
worse
It's likely
than the
tomorrow or
last
Tuesday.
gallery.
I haven't checked the schedule. And that's tough to adjust to.
15 love, chase better.
Now, I'm not going
than
to feel
2
too
yards.
bad for Steve, because otherwise it may have gone in the last gallery and won the chase anyway.
15 love, receiver leads, chases better.
But it does seem
than
as
2
if he
yards.
may have hit himself, which is a classic Eric Barker, to just whack yourself in the knee.
15 love, receiver, chase better than 2 yards.
Yeah, he's taking a few steps here. You gotta shake it off.
Chase off felt better than 2.
Chase
15
off,
love,
yeah.
receiver leads, no chase.
Steve did not run for that one at all, so still clearly dealing with the effects of the previous point.
Chase the second gallery. 15 love, 1 chase. Shot.
That's a good adjustment.
15 all.
Ross,
Second comment from Ross. I don't recall seeing so many double wall boasts to the bottom of the last gallery
30,
in other
15.
professional tournaments. Yeah, I think I'll take that one.
Yeah,
I
there you
think again that's a result of what we've been talking about with the pace of the
30 all, 1
court
chase,
here.
30 all.
You probably won't see it as much in most courts because you don't get as much value on a court where the walls aren't quite as fast.
40, 31 chase.
Ball comes
second
off
gallery.
the wall a little bit slower. It doesn't come across the court quite so quickly. You have to be a lot more precise about where you hit it so that you make sure you get the ball away from your opponent. Whereas here, this week at least, the ball's just jumping off that side wall so rapidly that it's really tough for the player at the service end. Anytime the ball's hit hard
40,
into the main wall,
receiver. Chase
it's-
is the second gallery.
it's coming across the court at such an angle and so quickly that it's very, very difficult for that server to handle.
good finish there from
Juice.
Lewis. Set up by an excellent serve.
Brings himself back to juice.
Chase better than 1 yard.
There's a good
Scores
example of it.
juice, 1 chase.
Better than 1 is what he called. Okay. Did I see half a yard? Yes, but good dig from Steve. See what Lewis does with this. That's gonna work.
Shot.
Yeah.
Advantage, 1 chase.
Everyone's had that terrible feeling when playing court tennis of selling out to cover the timbre and getting boasted against, and there just being practically nothing you can do, especially when you're playing someone like Lewis, who does hold the ball very well, as I mentioned earlier, and is quite creative with his shots. Whereas I think I
Advantage
would
to the
have
receiver.
telegraphed that
The
about 2
chase is
seconds
better
earlier.
than 1
on
yard.
the court.
Second crack at it. Not
Lost
that
the
one.
chase. Great volley.
Very good
Juice.
first defense from Steve.
Fault.
Potentially big point here.
Yeah.
Make a really, really big difference. Probably won't make a huge difference to Steve's mentality, but it'll make a really big difference to Lewis's mentality.
And he just missed the dead in there.
Advantage to server.
And it is a higher ledge here. That shot might be in on a couple courts out
Fault.
there.
Chance at a second serve here, though.
Chase better than 4
Gets
yards.
the chase.
Advantage 1 chase.
Steve was a bit surprised at how little that came up, and to be honest, I was too. Lewis hit a boast. Boasts typically kick up. I was actually going to say before the chase occurred that I was actually not a huge fan of his shot selection there, going with the post to Steve's forehand, but it got the job done. I thought
Advantage to the
he was going to cut it into a
receiver.
gallery, but
The
Lewis,
chase is
is a
than
better
4
player than me
yards.
for a reason.
Fault.
Steve choosing to let that serve be a fault was somewhat interesting, but that did come out very far.
That's the chase. Juice.
Back to Juice.
Lewis hanging tough here. I think maybe a slight dip in Steve's level this set.
Chase worse than 6
Please
yards.
be worse than 6.
Score is Juice 1
Begging.
chase.
Yes. Let's go.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Oh,
Advantage 1 chase.
I'm liking that. Would you call that a PK? That's a PK,
Yep,
right?
that's PK. You've answered my question. I was just about to ask what we think of Lewis's decision to change up the serve, add him some variation.
I agree with his decision because of who he's playing in great part.
Advantage to
I
the
think
server. Chase is worse
Steve
than 6
has
yards.
shown he loves volleying, and he's shown somewhat of a reluctance to take those 4 or 5 steps.
Game to
Yeah,
serve
it's
us.
unfortunate,
4 games
but
to 2.
if
Second
Steve's
set,
going to volley
4-2.
that serve, and Lewis is not giving him a bunch of pace, obviously with that PK, I think it's going to be very difficult to hit a remarkable return off of that serve,
Chase
off of
worse
the
than
volley.
3 yards. No strokes, 1 chase.
Is that going to be chase the line?
Two.
No.
15 Time, thanks, Lewis.
Great camera work from Ryan there.
Ball is exploding, though, around the court.
So for those of you
13
watching at
love.
home who may or may not know, the ball hits the back wall and then goes straight back over the net without hitting the floor
Ooh, that's a good shot.
first.
15-30.
It is a loss
1
of
chase,
point
worse than 3.
to the receiver who hit it, or to the player who hit it. Could be from either end.
And Chase worse than the door. 2 chases. 30-15.
So that ball that Lewis hit went penthouse.
Good, how are you?
Not that one. That was perfectly placed.
That was tough to get that one back. It's about get that one about 1 in 50. Ryan is saying, "Oh, you just stick your racket up to the backhand." Yeah, but to be a little bit of a contrarian, you're just not expecting that shot from that off of that serve. He took it low. He took it near his knee, and to hit that drive.
30-15 to receiver. First chase is worse than 3 yards.
Ryan's given me a 3-step plan on how to deal with that serve. And you're absolutely right. Playing for the unexpected. I totally agree with that. Still easier said than done.
No, I think you're right, Eric. There's very few players in our game who can hit that shot that Lewis hit there.
Right. Lost the chase. 30 chase worse than the door.
You could totally hit that one. You could totally volley it if it's like it's the same as asking, "Oh, could you have hit that 99-mile-per-hour fastball?" Well, yes, if I had 100 warm-ups and knew it was coming.
40,
Yes.
30.
That's why the Houston Astros won the World Series. To get a little off topic, they knew what pitches were coming. through tech. Well, that's not controversial. It's just a fact. They conducted an
Chase,
investigation,
West, 2 yards. 40,
and
30, gents, one
when you know the fastball is coming. Yes, 4-2, 40-30, back-to-court tennis. Worse than 2. Steve is feeling pretty good about going up 5-2 here, I'd imagine.
Fortunately, our game is entirely immune to such controversies, isn't it, Eric?
Oh, yeah. Always.
40, 30 to the server.
No one's ever had their
Chase is worse than 2
strings
yards.
cut.
No.
in an open or anything like that.
No, I haven't heard of anything like that. I've never heard of anyone repainting the roof to change how a specific serve
Game to servers, 5
interacts
games to 2.
with the back wall.
Second set,
I've never
5-2.
heard of that. That's a good
15
force.
love. Votes.
Five two down, 1 set to love down, and 5-2 down in the second set. Might be a good time to try a new strategy to see if it might work for the likely third set. What would you be trying now if you were Lewis?
Chase worse than the
That,
second
I'd be
Gary.
trying that. Just missed
15
it.
love
That definitely would have
receiver leads,
been
one chase.
in on plenty of courts. That main wall right there. Yeah, and I think Lewis,
And the last Gary is 2 chases.
we have seen a few more forces
15
recently.
love.
We have seen a little bit more aggression. He's capable of that. And he has overall
Grab him, yeah. Thank you.
been in the games more this set. So I think that tactic is working. It's just he's going up against a really tough opponent here.
How's it
Like
going?
when Freddie played Ben Matthews yesterday. I thought Freddie played a pretty decent, solid first 2 sets, and Ben was just lights out, didn't miss a ball.
Good.
Sometimes
Well, nice to see you.
there's not that much you can do.
I snuck it out, yeah.
This is very true.
Oh, wow. But yeah, thank
Sometimes you just
Next
get
time you come
outplayed.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. See you later. Sounds good. All right. Nice to see you.
But then, of course, give Freddie credit if he's listening. You played an exceptional third set and won that set 6-2 off of the number 4 or 5 player in the world, which is an
15 love to
incredible
the server.
accomplishment.
First
So I
chase
hope
is
you know
worse
that.
than
I'm
the
sure you
second
do.
Gary.
Good get from Steve and good put away from Lewis.
So it's point 30 love.
Not
Time, thank you,
100%
Steve.
conventional, but effective.
Chases the last Gary.
Wouldn't necessarily recommend that particular footwork to any aspiring juniors out there. But the intent and the
I thought it was all right.
idea behind the shot.
Little,
Go for it.
I think
little
it hit-
controversy about
it hit
whether
the
that
edge.
serve was good.
15, 30.
I actually think that serve was good. And John Lumley seems to agree. So we are on the same page this time around. Oh, cheeky.
Oh,
40-15.
almost a lightning fast reaction from Steve there, but just couldn't quite track it down off the sidewall. Very well played from Lewis there. Oh,
Played
and
Luke.
again,
Game
Yeah.
to the server. It's 3
fantastic
games to
pickup
5.
in that forehand corner.
I
Loses
won-
the loose ball and put it away off the timbre again. Same spot.
Timbre. Really effective shot to you juniors listening out there.
Chase 1 and 2. No strokes, 1 chase.
Lewis a little incredulous. Okay. Which is
Bolts.
fair. I don't think anyone except Steve knew where that ball was going.
Yeah. That's a good return.
15, love.
I was working with Mr. Woods Casey, my partner in crime in Melbourne, a few months ago. He always endorsed hitting the wall on a shot like that around 3 to make it incredibly difficult on your opponent, whether to cut it off or let it go to the back. It's just, you essentially have to try and scrape it.
15-0.
And that's exactly what Steve did.
Mm.
Bolts.
Cunning ball return from Lewis there.
Yeah.
Very well planned.
Chase 2
And
yards.
that's just one of those where you
Two
think, oh,
chases,
I
15
really
off.
hope it's going to hit the back wall first, and it doesn't, and it rolls. And there's really nothing you can do. Another terrible feeling when you're the server in court tennis.
That was a fantastic pickup from Lewis there.
Yeah.
Score is 15-0.
So we're seeing
First
another new
chase
serve
is
from
1 and
Lewis.
2.
What do we think about this one?
Love the creativity.
High serve, difficult to serve here.
Yes, it is. Saw Leon, who loves going for the giraffe. Ooh, I
Lost
like
the
that.
chase. 30-15 to
little
the
unlucky.
server. Chase
Leon,
2 yards.
his matches maybe take a slightly longer on average because they're,
Lost the
especially on
chase.
this court, you are going to
14-15.
fault a lot on that serve. And we do have a set point here, double set point. That was an interesting looking return. And we have the set.
Game and the second set to the server. 6 games to 3.
Steve Virgona takes a
Server leads by
commanding
2
lead.
sets to love. Third set. Lovell.
It appears as if there will be no shirt change. I did have to do that the other day against Mr. Ali
Votes.
Pridmore in my tuxedo match after the second set. That man makes you run around a lot. That's a great shot.
15, love.
Beautifully located. But yes, everyone who played in the Tuxedo Gold Racket, all of the Gold Racket semifinalists, did play this tournament, and none of them have won a match so far, which I think
30, love.
goes to show how hard this game can be on your body. You are literally running on concrete and swinging a weight effectively
Thank you, Hazard. Better than the door.
It's a pretty tough schedule to have
Very loud receiver lead.
one of
We've
the
got one chase.
one of the premier amateur tournaments in the US
Votes.
only 2 days before the qualifying
Yeah.
for this US Open starts. But
Yes. But still a fantastic experience. If Tim Chisholm is watching this,
15-30.
thank you. You ran an excellent tournament.
Votes.
well, fortunately, he'll be here all week, so you can mention it to him at some point.
It's true. It's true.
Chase worse than the last, Gary.
That's a great example of how live the court is right now. I mean, Lewis just hit a return. To be honest, it wasn't a good return, but it came all the way around to the last gallery, and he didn't even hit it hard, what it looked like. You just have to be on your toes on the court out there.
Yeah, it's pretty tough at the moment. Pretty tough.
30-15 to the
But we
server.
wouldn't want it too easy for these
First
players,
chase
would we?
is Hazard. Better than the door. Hazard.
No, we wouldn't.
We saw it.
30-15 server lead.
We saw the World Championship here not too long ago, and those two players made the court look pretty tame.
This is true.
So everything's relative.
It's true.
Yes.
Although one might argue that and I believe this to be the
So
case,
30, Chase
the
is
court
worse
was
than the
tamer
last
in
gallery.
September of 2023 than it is now. That's that railroad cut back in. Oh, that's a great dig from Lewis.
40-30.
Steve was a little forlorn there, but Lewis definitely got that ball.
Vote.
I'm glad we're on the same page with the marker now.
That's very casual, but very well done.
Chase worse than
1 yard on the line. That's what I saw.
40-31 Chase.
Shoot. Back off. Back off the...
I thought we
were
gave
running.
up playing this game.
No, I enjoy it too much.
So this was playing a hazard chase.
40-30 to the
That's a very
receiver.
nice little shot there from
That was
Lewis.
just a
Chase
really
is
good
worse
pickup.
than 1 yard.
So worse than a yard. Expect
Expect a
the
force.
cannon. There it
And
is.
the cannon
Game to the
has
receiver.
been loaded
First game
and
of the
fired.
Third set, 1 game to love.
First game of the third set. Lewis takes a 1-0 lead. First time he's led in the match, I believe.
I believe that to be correct. Ooh.
No, not with that one.
15.
It was a
Love
mental
time. Thank you, Lewis.
stimulant winning the first game. Really just boosts your mood, Gives you a little more energy, that first game.
For sure. For sure.
It definitely changes the dynamic of the set because, you've won 4
15 all.
games. You had won 4 games over the first 2 sets. And to just give yourself a little life, that's what it's about in this game. It's such a streaky game, I'm sure. Those of you who have been watching out there notice that. I mean, you can,
30-15.
like Freddie yesterday, you can lose the first 2 sets, win a total of 3 games, and then just catch fire. And it's so mentally difficult as well, this game. You have to stay locked in
14-15.
constantly. It's much more draining than any other racket sport I've ever played, to be honest.
Votes.
Rackets being a close second, given that you're just constantly terrified on the court. But squash, I'm not saying you're on autopilot. I love squash, but most shots you're hitting a rail. That's tactically the best shot to hit.
Game to server. Tied
Here
at
it's
1
just
game
it's a
all. 1
constant
all.
little chess game.
That was not a great follow-up game for Lewis. Got another comment from Ross, which I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague.
Are the commentators saying from Ross that the court has gotten more lively? How's that possible other than livelier balls? Yeah, so the balls certainly play an impact,
15 love.
and that is additionally boosted by the fact that we have players hitting the ball on average harder than your average club member, certainly. And it was a rip.
30 love.
I think because the court is being cleaned so much, sometimes you'll get it cleaned twice a match or even 3 times a match if it's a best,
Votes.
if it goes to a 5th set. I can't recall in my mind if a match has gone to a 5th set yet. That sheen on the court, the ball is just skidding out really fast off of those walls. And I can only tell you
thank
what
you.
I feel
15,
personally.
30.
This is my home court, and I can tell you that for those balls that are rocketed from the receiver's end off the high wall into, around chase the line, I can't get those balls right now at this tournament. I can.
Do you normally feel like you can?
Yes, I do. I normally, especially because with the viewing at Westwood here, wow, that's an incredible shot. It's remarkable. But
No
Get that
chases,
you
Jen.
have this
30
high glass wall here at Westwood, which slows the ball down when you hit it off of there.
40,
That does
30.
not really seem to be the case at this tournament so far. You rocket the ball off that wall, it is not slowing down, or is not slowing down as much. And it's not just the hardest hitters that I'm having, that I'm
Has it
seeing
worse than 2 yards. 40,
the
30,
pace
one
being,
chase.
I guess, augmented. It's everyone.
One game.
Yeah, I
penalty.
think to answer your question, Ross, it's
40, 30 loose.
this is still a relatively new court, so it will probably keep changing and evolving for the next couple of years at least, as it settles, as the various materials that were used to produce the court adjust, as they're played in, as they get hit by thousands of
40, 30
tennis
to the
balls
server.
and felt gets
Got
added
a
or
hazard. Worse than 2 yards.
removed over
Hazard.
time.
Did just get a comment from Hugh Middleton. I have to address
chase?
that because
Uh-oh.
he's one of my
Juice.
best buddies out there.
Time,
And Hugh, I hope you're having a great start in the UK. Doing a little stint in Canford. It's not really a little stint. It's I think it's a few months.
Quite a long stint.
Yeah, quite a long stint. But I think it's not just at Canford. He's going to be moving around the country and perhaps coming over to the U.S. For the Pell Cup in August. But yeah, I hope you're doing well. Love you, buddy. We have a great rally. Ooh.
Advantage to the receiver.
Just to finish off with the court, so the court itself could still be changing, and the balls that are being used on the court definitely make a difference.
Yes.
So if this set of balls is a little bit smaller or a little bit harder, that could potentially cause the effect we're seeing of the court feeling
Chase
like
the
it's
last
faster.
Yeah,
Whereas if
advantage
there
with
were
chase.
some slightly bigger balls or they're a bit softer, then it might not see that same effect.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is court tennis, and nobody ever really knows what's going on. We just make the best guess that we can at the time. As we saw there from Lewis, gesticulating to himself, not particularly happy with his guess on that last shot.
Advantage to the server. Chase is the last gallery.
Thank you for the love, buddy. It's appreciated.
Chase.
It's a great
Jeez.
return from Lewis. I mean, that's a shot that works at any level. You nick it. You nick it into that forehand corner. And that's not going to work as well. Although good retrieving. That's just unlucky. Ball was hugging the
Advantage
side
to the
wall there.
server.
We've all dealt with
Fine,
that
thank you,
shot.
Russ.
Just hugs the sidewall right near the grill. and you feel you can only go down the line or try to boast it as hard as you can cross court, but that doesn't tend to go well.
Chase nearly a yard worse
Half
than the
yard worse
last
than
gallery.
last, please.
Nearly a yard worse than last.
Advantage, one Chase.
I think I might have been wrong on that one. I'm going to blame.
No comment.
At least John and I are on the same wavelength.
Advantage
in
to
that
the receiver.
I think,
Chase is nearly
except
a
for
yard
maybe one
worse than the
time,
last gallery.
we've been within one, what is it called?
Oh,
A half yard.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Quarter of a yard.
juice.
That's going to be interesting. Yeah. That's just unlucky.
Advantage to the server.
Ball just jetted down because it hit the bando, which sometimes it will do on this court. You won't get that typical bounce.
Out of court. Juice.
This is a pretty lengthy
Time,
game
thanks.
right here.
Advantage to the
Steve's going
server.
to want that one back.
Time. Thanks, Steve.
I'd be remiss if I didn't congratulate Sydney on their upcoming opening. Is that next week, John? Do you know anything about that?
Nope.
Folks.
Can't help you, sorry. I know they're hoping to open towards the end of Feb, which would be
Which would
right
be
about
now.
Their official opening is in Easter, at Easter.
Sure.
That's a
Good finish from Lewis, and he takes the game.
to the server. 2 games to 1.
Come on, let's go.
But what is nice in this sport in recent years is we've had numerous court
Out of court.
openings.
15 love.
We had this court. Obviously, we were replacing an old court, but still quite the accomplishment. Sand Valley up in Wisconsin. There are other
Votes.
courts being discussed in the U.S. I know there's always discussion about one in Long Island. There's one in discussion in Colorado, but
Chase,
never know. And
the yard better
Charleston,
in the
of
second
course,
gallery.
seems to be making some really good progress at the moment.
15 love receiver leads. We got one
One
Chase.
has to laud the people down there who have been putting in tireless effort for the last 15 years.
For sure.
Perseverance is valuable in life. Thank you, Mike, for that comment. Yes. Could use a stripe, an additional stripe.
That comment, of course, comes from
15,
Mike Carter
30.
at Preston Hall.
Yeah,
Are you familiar with the floor at Preston Hall?
No, I've watched streaming from Preston Hall. Rob and Cam played World Championship there in
They certainly did.
2022.
Do you remember what the distinctive feature of the floor of Preston Hall is?
No.
I
Chase,
didn't pay too much attention to that World Championship
Well,
then.
I remember the I remember the low glass wall on the receiver's end.
Yeah, that's the back wall.
And I do remember it being very difficult to discern the chases, the chase markings on the floor. Maybe I'm
How come?
wrong. How come? There are no
Chase
lines,
better than 2
perhaps?
yards, 2 chases.
But what is there?
30.
Oh man, I'm a history major, and
second
you've just caught me a little bit.
Not
past,
real tennis history, maybe.
You've caught me past my prime here. I think short-term memory peaks. I don't know, around age 19 or 20. So I'm 3 or 4 years. I'm 4 years past that.
So they don't. There are no lines. You're correct. There are no lines on the floor there
Mm-hmm.
because every half yard is a different color.
Score is
very-
30.
In theory,
Right, yes.
very easy to
We are
see
better
what the
than
chase is
second
because it's
gallery.
either landed on, now you're testing me, I believe either orange or green. Could be purple or green, can't remember.
Votes.
You're right. I do remember Preston Hall being difficult. I think there are two courts on my mind where it is incredibly difficult to tell exactly what the chase is. Hobart would be the second one that comes to mind for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
40, 30.
maybe
chase better than
the
2
lines are
yards.
slightly faded at this at this point. I know that the club just had its 150th anniversary, correct? So certainly an older court. Oh, Lewis.
Jeez.
Although that was chase better than 2. I don't think I can get on him too much for that. You have to go for. Oh, okay. I'm being shown a replay of Rob versus Cam.
Advantage to the
Yes,
receiver.
a very turquoise and dark blue / purple floor. It is a beautiful court for those who haven't been to Preston Hall. I actually haven't been, so I'm also talking to myself at the moment. This is a nice rally. That's probably going to be a hazard. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's unlucky.
Has a 1 yard
Steve hits a great
advantage.
volley and just Ryan Carey with the graphics. It's amazing.
Thank you, Ryan.
What would we do without him?
So that right there was Preston Hall. For those who haven't been, put it on the list. Hoping to get there myself in the next month or two.
Hugh comments, I fell over on the court at Preston. I rate the floor highly. Yeah, that might just have to do with clumsiness, Hugh. I
Advantage
don't have
to
much of a
server.
comment on that.
We got a hazard.
No comments,
1
Babby.
yard. Hazard.
Points for Lewis to go up 3 games to 1 in this set. I say points. Point.
This is an opportunity here,
He slided across.
and he takes it. Didn't even need to
Game.
Lovely shot.
see the
3
trajectory of that
games to
one.
1.
Bold choice, as we mentioned. Very easy to hit hazards if you miss the grill here, but
But,
perfectly positioned from Lewis. Takes 3-1 lead in this set.
but you're playing Steve
15
Virgona,
love.
and at a certain point, you just have to go for it.
This is true. This is true.
Fortune favors the brave. I believe that's a U.S. military slogan, but can apply on the court tennis court too.
Chase better than 3 yards. 15
Better
yard
than 3.
receiver leads, 1 chase.
That looked right. Lewis going with the
Thank you for your comment, Georgie. I also would appreciate seeing the pigeon come out a bit more.
Is Lewis typically? To be honest, I have not seen too much of Lewis play over the years. Is he typically an animated player on court?
In a close
30
match.
love.
Yeah.
In a close match, it tends to be. Can be. Can get animated in intense moments of matches.
Oh, that's
40 love,
unlucky.
1 chase.
But
We have
the,
some more, please, gents. Thank you.
The come on, let's go tends to come out after a good shot. So it's usually an indication he's pretty happy with the shot that he's just hit.
As you know, you would expect that to be the case.
Yeah, it's often accompanied by a little
Fist bump?
little head bobble,
Head bob. Okay.
head bob. Hallmark of the Lewis Williams game.
Yeah. Your signature celebration, just typically a little fist bump. You know,
Little fist pump.
little fist bump.
I like a little fist pump. Some say a little too often, but
No. You cannot complain.
with that.
You cannot complain about a little fist bump. I think my behavior on court over the years deserves more scrutiny.
Or maybe less scrutiny. Tough assignment
40
here for
love
Lewis.
to the server. Chase is better than 3 yards.
In this game, at least. He's made an excellent fist of that return,
Game
but
to
that's
server has 2 games.
That's
for
too
3.
good from Steve.
clinically dealt with from Steve. 2-3.
Second serve.
2-3.
Notice
Sorry,
that I
thanks,
know that was a fault. Don't get me wrong, but I think maybe Lewis could get. Steve has been serving that serve a lot. Should be moving his feet a little quicker to move out wider for that serve.
I
Chase
expect
better
Lewis
than
will be
1
planning
yard.
on playing a
No
volley
strokes,
there,
one chase.
Yeah,
where
fair enough.
possible. If it's deep enough on him, he'll be hoping to play the drive that we saw before the force straight past Steve's forehand. If it gets a little bit in front of him, he'll probably plan on playing that
15
wide
love.
post.
Time, thanks, Lewis.
But that right there is
It's a good shot from Steve.
really beautifully delicate shot
Yeah.
from Steve.
It's unlucky. I could see what Lewis was confused about. He thought the ball would carry deeper into the court. And I kind of thought so too. That's a good serve.
30 love, 1
Nasty.
chase.
That was a great serve. That biting action.
Vote.
Couple more comments on the Preston floor.
Thank you for that comment, Graham.
Again
40
from
love, 1
Steve.
chase,
There's
7-1
finding that
yard.
main wall timber. Very, very difficult on this court.
Lewis started at Preston. I actually didn't know that. Thank you for that.
You?
No, I didn't.
There you go. Yeah, Lewis has been in the game for quite a long time now. He started as a young boy. Well, not too young a boy, but started as a boy in Preston. With when Rich Smith was there, I believe, encouraged him to come across from the lawn tennis court to
40
the real
love
tennis
to
court
the receiver. The chase is better than
in his
1
mid-teens. Took a bit of a break from the game. Had about 10 years out and has come
Lost
back
the
to the
chase.
game in the
15,
last
40.
5 years or so. Great addition to the game. Love having him back again. But yeah, Preston boy.
That's a good finish from Lewis there.
30-40.
Steve's post was just a little bit too...
Won the 2 chases to get himself back in this game.
Chase better than the door. 40-30.
That'll be a...
A little bit lucky not to concede the point there. Serve was a little bit loose. High off the back wall. Got away with it. Steve not able to capitalise. Winnable chase from the receiver's end. Steve will have to serve well to defend this.
Steve will probably want to keep his serve
40-30
relatively
to
tight
the server.
to prevent
Chase is
Lewis from
better than the door.
attacking the second gallery, but we'll see.
Vote.
That seemed to be his intention. He's going to try it again. See, that can be... Lewis was going for it.
And the chase.
Works out anyway.
Juice.
Again, just so quick off that back wall this week.
Yeah.
Very, very difficult for Steve to catch up to that.
Shot.
That's a good finish.
Oh, nicely done.
Advantage to the server.
He felt Lewis coming up to try and cover the winning gallery there and just snuck it in the very bottom corner. Oh,
Chase worse than the
Worse
first
than the
gallery.
first.
interesting decisions from both players.
I
Advantage.
got that one. Let's go.
So many targets. I thought I just saw you wander up. I didn't know you were coming
There's that
out.
delicately placed shot from Steve again.
I'm on a hot mic. Watch out.
Yeah, Steve didn't want any part of that.
No.
double.
And at the end of the day, it's something I struggle with. You know, I love
Advantage
running
to the
around and trying to
receiver.
cover as much of the court as
Chase
possible.
is
But
worse than the first
sometimes,
carry.
sometimes it's just strategically better to let a ball go. Save your energy. Worse than first is a chase that you should beat from the receiver's end. Although that was a great serve. Oh! And that brings it to
Game
3-all.
receiver, 3
Lewis will be
games
disappointed
all,
with that
third
shot,
set,
but that
3-all.
was an excellently played point from Steve.
Yeah.
As you said, Lewis's serve was very good, hugged the sidewall very tight. Steve was able to get that back and then able to dig it out from the backhand corner.
That's a good dig from Steve.
Back to 3-all, that 2-game buffer for Lewis has been erased.
15 love.
Got the first point here, though.
Yeah, off of an excellent
Post
shot.
drill.
Yeah.
Not often seen. Joined in the commentary booth by Chase Motes,
Thank you. 30 love.
preparing for his big match tomorrow.
Chase and Max Truman will
Chase
be
worse than
playing
1 yard.
Pull up a pew, young man.
Barney
30
Tanfield and
love,
Freddie
serve
Bristow.
leads, 1 chase.
They played,
Time, thank you, Lewis.
Chase and Max played an excellent match to take down Noah and myself. Although it was mostly Noah. Noah did about 95% of the work. Is
So it was his fault, was it?
no, not his fault, my fault. But
Noah did 90% of the winning, but also 90% of the losing.
Chase better than
I
1
honestly,
yard.
I think
2 chases, gents.
the way
30
Max is
love.
returning, remarkable. I mean, they just played an exceptional match. Anyway, we have 30 love, 2 remarkably good chases, and I don't know. This is anyone's set still. Who do I like in this set? Chase most asks. I will always choose Steve.
That was an unreal shot from Lewis.
Yes, it was.
30 love to the receiver. First chase
Always
is
take
worse
Steve.
than 1 yard.
I do enjoy, playing poker and like to gamble, and I would gamble on Steve. But
Oh, well
Chase,
left.
yes,
15,
That
30.
cannot
Chase is
have missed
better
by
than 1
much.
yard.
no.
Another opportunity for Lewis here. Big dead on. We might see a big. Come on, let's go. But not that time,
That was a good
unfortunately.
serve.
Lost the chase. Score is 30 all. No chase. 30
bad
all.
time.
Time. Thank you, Steve.
For
Back to
those
30-all.
thinking, Lewis maybe could have tried to drive that off of the volley. Steve's putting a lot of spin on that.
First serve.
Puts
30 all.
more spin on that serve than most professionals do any serve. It's very hard to.
Fault.
Oof. Oh, was that called a fault?
Lewis caught a break there.
Yep.
Oh, no.
As they say, I don't want to be that
40.
guy, but ball don't lie.
You're going to have to explain that one to me. I'm too old for that reference.
Juice.
I have to explain ball don't lie. Well, when, let's say, playing a lawn tennis match, the ball is called out, but it was clearly in.
Advantage to the server.
And the next point, the person who was cheated out of that point wins that point. Yeah, or yes,
Close.
cheated in air quotes out of that point. Wins that point or wins, let's say, 2 points in a row. Or maybe they perhaps cheat their opponent themselves. That is a ball don't lie moment.
I see. It's a bit of karma coming back.
Karma, yes. That could have been summarized with one
What
word.
was it,
Yeah.
Has it been half a yard? Advantage,
Well
1
done.
chase. He didn't get that. No, it wasn't a stroke, so that's his call.
Ryan's pointing out a comment. I'm not sure which one he's pointing to, though.
Oh, it's good to know. You learn something new every day, Graham. I did not know that Preston had.
The BFG?
Yeah.
Advantage to the receiver. Got a hazard
I think of the
better than half a
BFG
yard.
as,
Hazard.
I think, big friendly giant.
The famous book by Roald Dahl?
Yes. Probably my favorite second grade
Game
author.
to receivers, 4
For those of you
games
who
to
haven't
3.
read him, would highly recommend. Yeah.
Bit of sass coming from the
Chase
television
better than
controller's
3
chair over
yards.
there
No
from
strokes,
Ryan
1
Carey.
chase.
I'm hoping that was better than 3. Yes, let's go. Back on track. Oh, wow.
15 up.
For those who might not know, Ryan does sit in this room, in this chair, for however long it takes to play every match of every day of this tournament, including the qualifying. So he started on Monday setting up all of the equipment, and then was sitting in the chair for 6 to 8 hours on Wednesday. No, probably only 4 hours on Wednesday. Light day. 6 to 8 hours on Thursday.
15 all.
Another 6 to 8 hours on Friday.
Ryan is scoffing at the notion that he only worked 6 to 8 hours, and I would scoff as well. I know he's been putting in the hours.
30, 15.
Let's get back to the match, though. 30-15 to Lewis in this game. Still very much in this set.
Votes.
This is a big point, especially dealing with that better than 3 chase that has to be on his mind. And
Chase worse than 1 yard. 2
I don't know if that was a
chases.
chase or a stroke.
30,
Yeah, I was
15.
going to say that was 1 something.
Good call for the unsighted marker.
I actually couldn't see that one. So that was just a complete educated guess.
An educated guess.
Yeah.
30, 15 to the receiver. First chase is better than 3 yards.
Chase commenting. You know, can't hear Chase, but wondering how Mr. Woods Casey could possibly deal with me for 3 months over in Melbourne. And no, I mean, yeah, I got a lot.
You get used to it, is the short answer.
I got a lot of that's a great dig from Lewis.
Score is 30 all. Chase is worse than 1 yard.
Worse than 1 here, probably expecting a force. Yeah.
40,
I think the
30.
answer, Chase, is that he learned a lot of life lessons.
Yeah. You embrace the Melbourne, I wouldn't even call it just the truths, better coffee over there. You know, you just kind of have to embrace the fact that Australia is a better country than America, which I did. Chase calls that a hot take.
Game to server.
Yeah, maybe some viewers
5 games to 3.
would also call it a hot
All
take,
up, Lewis.
but
Thank you.
I would. You know, my best 3 months of my life down there. So yeah, I am biased. I'm definitely biased.
That's generous. I don't think I'd be brave enough to make that assertion here in this country. But I didn't say it, fortunately, so.
5-3, 15 love now for Steve.
I mean, he might be the one of the premier left-handers in the game, but he's no Chase Motes.
I know. I'm hoping to one day potentially move back to Melbourne.
Great
Second
leave
gallery.
from Steve.
Yes.
15
be the
love
dream.
serve,
That's a
leaves
hot
one
take.
chase.
Dream to move back to Melbourne one day and just enjoy the. And the Aussies always complain about the weather there. The weather is not
15
remotely bad
all.
there. I was there for their winter. It is very mild.
Votes.
And Melbourne is an absolutely fantastic city, fantastic club, amazing court. My favorite court in the world. And there are two of them, but they're completely interchangeable for the most part. The two courts. And that is a stroke. I'm sorry, Lewis.
30, 15, one chase.
Everyone should at one point make their way down to Melbourne, though, especially if you have time in
Votes.
January for the Boomerang, which is coming up in January of 2026. It's their premier. I mean, not they obviously all have the Oz Open there, but I would say that the Boomerang, for all levels, is the premier tournament to attend.
30 all, one
Absolutely.
chase. 30 all.
Mr. Streaming himself, Ryan Carey, will be there.
Oh,
40,
The young
31
modes
chase. Bet on the
with
second
impertinent
gallery.
questions.
I'm not sure I would call that cut shot from Lewis into the dead-end intentional, but he will take it at this point.
Lefty there.
Everyone's done it. I think I see it at the highest frequency from Kieran Booth out of all people. The cut shot, he hits an amazing cut volley, but sometimes he does miss-hit it, and it will go into the dead-end.
40, 30 to the server.
If you hit enough
Chase
of
is
them,
better than the second
you
gallery.
could call it luck. I would just call it,
Votes.
balance of probability. John Woods Casey also seems to think it's luck, which it is.
I said no such thing.
Juice.
Implied it with his facial expression. And we have a deuce here. Oh!
Advantage to the receiver.
He's not going to be happy with that one.
I was trying to work out what that word was.
Oh, good get, Lewis. Hang in there. And
Chase better
that's
than the last
either
gallery.
last or better than last,
Advantage,
please.
one
Okay,
chase.
yeah. I thought it was better than last. Lewis might take that net cord. That was going to be a difficult dig in the corner.
Yep. I think personally that's one that
Advantage
both
to the
players will
server.
feel lucky and
Chase
unlucky.
is better
Yes.
than the last
So,
gallery.
50-50. Big point here.
Oh, good get. Oh, and that
Oh.
will
Set
do
and
it.
back to Virgona.
6-1, 6-3, 6-3 to Mr. Steve Virgona.
6 games to 1,
He will
6-3,
move on to the
6-3.
quarterfinal and play the winner of our world champion, Camden Riviere, and Noah Moats, and the local hero, Noah Moats, and signing off. Yeah, thanks for tuning in.